In a world of constant change, Breaking News Hub brings you the stories that matter. Fast, accurate, and always ahead of the curve. This is BNH TV, where news breaks first. Subscribe now and never miss a headline.
On March 18, 2025, a significant meeting unfolded in Doha, Qatar, bringing together Presidents Paul Kagame of Rwanda, Felix Tshisekedi of the Democratic Republic of Congo, and the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. This high-level gathering aimed to address the escalating crisis in the eastern DRC, a region plagued by violence and instability. The eastern DRC has long been a hotspot for conflict. President Felix Tshisekedi has been grappling with the resurgence of armed groups in the east, posing a direct challenge to his authority. These armed groups have been a persistent threat. President Paul Kagame has faced accusations of supporting rebel groups within the DRC, a charge he denies. His involvement has been a point of contention. The Emir of Qatar assumed the role of a mediator, hoping to bridge the divide and facilitate a dialogue for peace. His efforts are seen as crucial in bringing stability to the region. The eastern DRC, rich in mineral resources, has been a battleground for decades, with various armed groups vying for control. The competition for these resources has fueled the conflict. This conflict has resulted in widespread human suffering and a devastating humanitarian crisis. Thousands have been displaced. The international community has stepped up its efforts to find a resolution, with the Doha meeting marking a pivotal moment. The world watches closely, hoping for a breakthrough in this long-standing conflict. The conflict in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo is a multifaceted crisis, deeply rooted in the region's history and socio-political landscape, with a long and troubled history that dates back to the colonial era and has evolved through various phases of violence and instability. It is characterized by ethnic tensions, competition for resources, weak governance, and the involvement of neighboring countries. These factors have created a volatile environment where different groups vie for power and control. The region's vast mineral wealth has fueled the conflict, attracting armed groups and external actors. These minerals, including gold, tin, and coltan, are highly valuable on the global market. The Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda, composed of remnants of the Rwandan genocide perpetrators, have been operating in eastern DRC for years. Their presence has added another layer of complexity to the conflict. The Allied Democratic Forces, originally from Uganda, have also established a presence in the region, terrorizing local populations. Their brutal tactics have caused widespread fear and suffering. The Congolese government's authority in the east has been weak, hampered by corruption and the presence of numerous armed groups. This lack of effective governance has exacerbated the situation. This power vacuum has created an environment of impunity, where violence and human rights abuses are rampant. Armed groups operate with little fear of repercussions. The civilian population bears the brunt of the conflict, enduring displacement, sexual violence, and constant threats. Their lives are marked by uncertainty and trauma. Efforts to resolve the conflict have included peacekeeping missions, diplomatic initiatives, and attempts at disarmament, but lasting peace has remained elusive. The international community continues to search for solutions to bring stability to this troubled region. President Felix Tshisekedi's approach to the conflict in eastern DRC has been marked by a combination of diplomacy, military action, and shifting alliances. Upon assuming office in 2019, he initially prioritized dialogue and regional cooperation. However, Tshisekedi's initial overtures toward a peaceful resolution faced significant challenges. The armed groups proved resistant to dialogue and disarmament efforts. This prompted Tshisekedi to adopt a more assertive stance, authorizing military operations against armed groups. One notable shift has been his willingness to engage in direct talks with armed groups, including the M23. Tshisekedi's decision to explore dialogue with the M23 reflects a pragmatic recognition of the need to explore all avenues for peace. His evolving approach highlights the complexity of the challenges he faces and the delicate balancing act required to navigate regional dynamics and internal pressures. The M23 rebel group announced its withdrawal from planned peace talks with the Congolese government, complicating the path to peace. The M23 cited the European Union's imposition of sanctions against Rwandan officials as the primary reason for their boycott. The EU sanctions were imposed in response to allegations of Rwanda's support for the M23 rebel group. Rwanda has denied these allegations, maintaining that it is not a party to the conflict. The M23's boycott of the peace talks raised concerns about the group's commitment to a peaceful resolution. The sanctions, while intended to pressure Rwanda, also risk further escalating tensions between Rwanda and the DRC. The M23's boycott and the EU sanctions underscore the fragility of the peace process. The incident highlights the need for a more inclusive and comprehensive approach to peace building. Rwanda, a small landlocked nation in East Africa, has been a central player in the regional dynamics surrounding the conflict in eastern DRC. Its history, linked to the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, continues to shape its foreign policy. Rwanda's government, led by President Paul Kagame, maintains that its actions in the DRC are motivated by legitimate security concerns. Rwanda points to the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda, or FDLR, as a primary threat to its national security. The FDLR's presence in eastern DRC has fueled tensions between Kigali and Kinshasa. The Great Lakes region has long been plagued by instability, ethnic tensions, and competition for resources. Rwanda's involvement in the DRC should be understood within the context of its historical experiences and security concerns. Angola, a regional heavyweight, has emerged as a key player in efforts to resolve the crisis in eastern DRC. Under President João Lourenço, Angola has taken on a proactive role in regional diplomacy. President Lourenço's approach has been characterized by shuttle diplomacy and mediation efforts. He has hosted several rounds of talks between President Felix Tshisekedi and President Paul Kagame. Angola's efforts have been bolstered by the involvement of regional blocs, such as the Southern African Development Community, SADC, and the East African Community, EAC. SADC has deployed a peacekeeping force to the DRC, while the EAC has initiated a dialogue process. The role of Angola and regional blocs highlights the importance of regional ownership and leadership in addressing the challenges facing the Great Lakes region. Qatar, a small but influential Gulf state, has increasingly positioned itself as a mediator in regional and international conflicts. Its diplomatic initiative in hosting the trilateral meeting reflects its growing ambition to promote peace and stability. Qatar's foreign policy, characterized by a pragmatic approach, has enabled it to build bridges between countries with differing political systems. Its neutrality in regional disputes, coupled with its economic clout, has made it an attractive mediator. The decision to host the meeting in Doha underscores Qatar's commitment to leveraging its diplomatic capital. Qatar's diplomatic initiative should be seen as part of a broader trend of Gulf states playing a more active role in mediating conflicts. As the geopolitical landscape evolves, Qatar's diplomatic efforts are likely to gain further prominence. The quest for peace in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo remains a daunting and complex endeavor. Despite numerous peace agreements and diplomatic initiatives, the region continues to grapple with violence and instability. The deep-rooted nature of the conflict poses significant challenges to achieving a lasting peace. One primary challenge lies in addressing the proliferation of armed groups operating in eastern DRC. Disarming, demobilizing, and reintegrating former combatants into civilian life remain daunting tasks. Another major obstacle is the lack of trust between the Congolese government and armed groups. Building trust requires a long-term commitment to addressing past grievances and ensuring accountability. Despite the challenges, opportunities for peace exist, with renewed international attention and regional involvement offering hope. As the dust settles on the trilateral meeting in Doha, a sense of cautious optimism hangs in the air. Leaders from various nations have come together, united by a common goal of fostering peace and stability in regions long plagued by conflict. The meeting represents a step in the right direction, a testament to the power of dialogue and diplomacy. It underscores the importance of collaboration and the willingness to find common ground, even amidst deep-seated differences. The road ahead remains long and arduous, fraught with potential pitfalls. The journey towards lasting peace is never straightforward, often requiring perseverance and resilience in the face of adversity. The commitments made in Doha must be translated into concrete actions on the ground. Infrastructure development, security measures, and community engagement are crucial to turning promises into reality. The international community must remain actively engaged, providing support for peace-building initiatives. Continuous involvement and resources are essential to sustain the momentum generated by such diplomatic efforts. The people of the DRC deserve a future free from violence, where their children can inherit a legacy of peace. Education, healthcare, and economic opportunities are vital for building a stable and prosperous society. The international community has a moral imperative to stand with them and work towards a just and lasting peace. Advocacy, humanitarian aid, and diplomatic pressure must be sustained to ensure progress. The meeting in Doha offers a flicker of hope that a different path is possible, leading towards healing and a brighter future for all. It is a reminder that even in the darkest times, hope can emerge, guiding us towards a better tomorrow.